So with the currency reset in mind, today we're going to be focusing on another kind of reset, and that's the energy reset. Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Recently, we've noticed that there's been very little coverage in the West of the SPIEF forum. And what is the SPIEF forum? Well, it's the St. Petersburg International Economic Conference, and it was held earlier this year in Russia in June. President Putin dropped a bombshell in his keynote speech at this forum. President Putin called the Western monetary system, or the dollar system, a system based on mythical values in which central banks print trillions of dollars out of thin air to assist their governments in their gargantuan deficit spending programs. And he announced that the growing BRICS bloc of nations and global South nations were setting up an international currency based on real values like hard assets or commodities like gold, silver, agricultural commodities, base metals, and energy. And I think that aside from this currency reset, we need to focus also on energy supplies, because the West's energy supplies have been compromised and affected massively since the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. The West cannot remain dependent on its supply of energy sources from Russia and the countries within its sphere of influence. And aside from that, the West doesn't seem to have any intention of making up with Russia and its allies. So the West needs to make sure it builds a safe and dependable supply of energy sources in order for our economies to compete and thrive going forward. So back on June 23rd, we spoke on this channel about the currency reset announced by President Putin and his allies like China and the other BRICS nations. So with the currency reset in mind, today we're going to be focusing on another kind of reset, and that's the energy reset. But our focus won't be oil and natural gas, even though those commodities have been greatly affected by the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. No, today we're going to focus on uranium. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has triggered a profound change in the nuclear fuel markets. And even though the US has the largest fleet of nuclear reactors, it only produced 1% of the world's supply of uranium, according to the latest data. And more shockingly, did you know that the US imports almost half of its uranium from Russia, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan? This is a huge problem, as nuclear energy electrifies 20% of American homes. Whatever you might think of ESG and the green agenda, uranium is clean energy and has been around for decades prior to the emergence of the ESG phenomenon. So looking at the supply situation, it looks like uranium is a strategic commodity for the United States. So with that in mind, we have recently partnered with Uranium Energy Corp, or UEC. It is the #1 and fastest growing uranium energy company in America, with headquarters in Texas and big mining operations in Texas and Wyoming. Its stock is held by major financial institutions on Wall Street like State Street, Fidelity, Vanguard, and BlackRock. Recently, analysts put price targets on UEC ranging from $6.60 all the way up to $7.20, and with its stock trading just below $4, we think there's substantial upside potential for UEC. UEC's CEO, Amir Adnani, is the man behind a contract to acquire 5 million pounds of physical uranium at a price of $38 per pound. They've acquired already so far 2 million pounds, and those 2 million pounds rest in UEC's warehouses. What this means is that UEC's shareholders basically own the physical as well. And here's an interesting fact about nuclear energy. Recently, the NEI, or the Nuclear Energy Institute, said that by using nuclear energy, the United States avoided emitting 471 million tons of carbon dioxide. And this is the equivalent of removing 100 million automobiles from the roads. The other very interesting and cost-effective part of UEC's operation is what is called in situ recovery of uranium.
A key area of focus for Uranium Energy Corporation is developing uranium projects with unique geology amenable to in situ recovery mining. In situ recovery, or ISR mining technology, is a proven mining method with less environmental impact and substantially lower capital expenditure requirements than conventional mining methods. ISR mining technology has been used to recover uranium from naturally occurring roll-front type deposits in the United States and around the world for years. Uranium Energy Corp is committed to ensure the highest environmental health and safety standards are followed throughout the life of mining at its facilities. In situ recovery of uranium has proven to be one of the safest and most environmentally friendly types of mineral extraction technologies known.
We also need to look at how countries around the world are building back new nuclear capacity. Even the EU Parliament has recently voted to make gas and nuclear clean energies. The UK has announced plans to increase its nuclear capacity from 7 gigawatts to 24 gigawatts by the year 2050. And even Finland has recently started its first nuclear reactor in over 40 years. France, which depends on nuclear for 70% of its electricity, has recently reversed plans to shut down old nuclear reactors and build 6 new ones by the year 2050. The Netherlands plans to build 2 new reactors in the next few years. The ticker for Uranium Energy Corporation is UEC, and it's listed on the NYSE American Exchange. The other thing UEC has going for it is that it's the only pure play uranium stock in America. UEC also has no debt, has good cash reserves, and has been acquiring uranium companies as well. UEC also holds 15 million shares of UROI, or Uranium Royalty Corp. We would also like to thank UEC for partnering with our channel. And to wrap up, our view on this channel hasn't changed. We have been a firm believer for the last 2.5 years that we are witnessing, albeit slowly and in a volatile fashion, a shift away from 40 years of paper assets outperforming real assets like commodities, like precious metals, agricultural commodities, energy, and so on. Yes, to a period now where hard assets and commodities will perform much better than paper assets on a relative basis. And we think the 40 years of low interest rates are coming to an end. And we don't think the central banks can keep manipulating interest rates for that much longer. And we are actually witnessing interest rates and yields go a lot higher. So coupled with this new energy reset, which has split the energy supplies of the world, we think that an investment in UEC is a good way to profit in this environment. So if you'd like to find out more about UEC, click on the link below in the description section of this video.